I'm going to do a little bio on our speaker here. Jose Lopez is a dedicated father who loves to lift weights and network, service the community with credit repair, and help others obtain their financial goals. As an account executive for Elite Credit Group with more than 9 years of experience in the real estate financial industry, here is Jose Lopez.
All right, so I guess I don't need to do a huge introduction. Hey guys, my name is Jose. I'm with Elite Credit Group. We specialize in helping those with challenged credit, but I want to shake things up just a little bit. I want everyone to look around all the people in your table. I want you to stand up and shake your hands of two people. One person who you think has better credit and one person who you think has worse credit, but don't tell them which is which. All right. So I like to do that as a quick icebreaker. I know a lot of us come to these events to network, and our network is our net worth. So any way I can help you guys grow, I'm always here to help you guys out. But going into the nitty-gritty of things, I'm here to talk to you guys about something that's not particularly sexy. Credit. But it's okay. We'll light a candle, we'll put on some Marvin Gaye. We can make credit sexy, I promise. So with the Elite Credit Group, we specialize in helping those with business and personal credit that are challenged. I don't like to call it bad credit because in all reality, no one has bad credit. They have challenged credit. We specialize in helping them obtain their goals, whether they're looking to buy a car, buy a home, get a new apartment, or sometimes even getting a new job. Employers are now checking credit for financial stability. I'm here to talk to you guys about a couple of things, but one of the things I'm really excited to talk to you guys about is our newest add-on to our company, and that is business credit. Now, show of hands, who here has utilized business credit? Probably about less than a handful. Who here is self-employed? There's more self-employed people than anything else. Now, people who started, especially those around the COVID times, actually became the biggest boom of self-employed people in history. COVID has made a lot of people open up more financial doors for them by simply just creating that new avenue of income, and they're creating their own business, whether someone's doing a hair salon or someone's doing a nail salon or someone's just selling stuff on Etsy and so on and so forth. They're selling them through third-party vendors. There's been a big hike of self-employed people who are establishing credit, but they're also wasting money in the long run. And I'll elaborate on that in a little bit. Who here actually is self-employed and actually uses business credit what they feel is the right way? Probably about one or two people. So so by that I mean you're actually having your business credit established. You're having more than 6 trade lines. You're having what's called self-sustainable business credit. It's time we find out. It's definitely time we find out. So business credit, for those who are self-employed and they actually have their LLC, that's first and foremost. To establish business credit, you need to have an LLC or corporation, and you got to have everything reporting under that corporation. So if you, let's say Chris starts a brand new business cutting hair. Now he probably would be a great barber, but I don't know yet, but we'll find out that later on. Let's say he starts a barber shop, and next thing you know, good to go? Okay, I'm making sure I'm right in the camera. You guys can see? Oh, gotcha. So let's say Chris starts a brand new business and he's establishing credit, but he's financing everything through his personal cards. What that's going to do is the second the business starts to default, they're going to actually impact his personal credit versus him creating an EIN and putting everything solely under his business's name. Now, business credit is similar to that of personal credit with the sense that obviously it's credit. It's going to be your ability and your history of repaying back on time, which is something that everyone needs to do. I'm hoping everyone here is paying all their bills on time. So that's one of the ventures we have been we started, and we're glad to say that we've been helping out many business owners not only build business credit, but just establish and repair business credit as well. Because yet again, with COVID, things happen, life happens. Sometimes, hey, we got to make sure we pay the overhead for our household before we pay anything else. So we get it. But going into the personal credit aspect, we specialize in helping those with, like I call, challenge credit. Late payments, charge-offs, collections, you know, we can get those removed from accounts. We can help boost credit with authorized trade lines and so on and so forth. Now, for a really quick quiz, because I want to make sure everyone's still listening, who can name me the 3 bureaus for credit? Check your credit karma right now. Your FICO probably just boosted 10 points just for getting that right. So, a couple of tips and tricks I always like to recommend for our clients, as well as for business or personal. It's kind of the same, more or less. Does anyone know your average percentage you're supposed to keep your credit score your credit under?
30.
30. Anyone else?
But that service can come on a bit.
No. How much utilization you're supposed to use for your credit? About 30. You're correct. As of 2 years ago, they actually changed the way they price it out, and they want to keep it under 10 now.
Really?
Yes. Keeping it under 30% gives you about a C, C plus, B minus. Keeping it under 10% utilization is going to give you A plus credit. Yeah. So what that means is, if you guys are financing all your bills, all your expenditures, if you're like my wife and you finance Amazon every single day, where there's 20 packages coming a day, and you're running up the credit cards every single month, keep it under 10% utilization. Under 10% is optimal. Exactly. That's another good thing as well for paying off. Now, who here carries a balance on their credit card every month? It's okay if you do. Who here pays it all off?
Eventually.
You have both hands up, so you're doing both? So, the best way to save money that I always recommend clients, run your credit cards up. That's perfectly fine, but pay it off. And there's 2 dates I always recommend for everyone to know when it comes to your credit cards. Your statement date and your posting date. Those are going to be 2 separate dates. The statement date is when it's due. You go on Capital One, Chase, Experian, any one of your creditors, and you check and it says, 35 due this date. That's your statement date. Your posting date is the day that it reports to the bureaus. So they're always going to be 2 separate dates. If you pay your balance off completely before the posting date, 1, they're not going to be able to hit you with any interest, and 2, it's always going to report on your bureau you have a 0 balance, which means you have 0% utilization, which is going to keep your credit optimal. But you can still run it up. One of the tips I always tell people is pay all your bills with your credit card. And by that, I mean T-Mobile. My wife likes Amazon Prime, so we have Amazon Prime, Disney Plus for my daughter. Run all those on your credit cards, especially one that's going to give you cash back and bonus points, and just pay it off before the posting date. You're not going to pay interest, you're going to get points on the activity, and you're going to get reported activity to your bureaus, which is going to boost your FICO up even higher. Does anyone have any questions regarding credit? Yes. Ladies first.
The posting date, is that before when your statement closes?
That's a great question. What was your name again?
Sharon.
Sharon asked if the posting date is before your statement date. And the answer to that is it varies. Call your individual account, whoever's the creditor, and ask them when is the posting date. Sometimes they typically like it after because they want to get it paid after, so therefore they can actually collect interest. Some may put it before. So it varies company by company. You had a good question.
That was going to be my question. When the posting, we can't figure out what the posting date is.
Okay, so your name?
Optimus.
Okay, so he asked the same question as well. So yet again, call each individual account. Now, who here? I'm drawing a mental blank really quick. Give me 1 second. I didn't have enough caffeine this morning, guys. All right, so yes, sir.
So isn't there a negative to some degree if you're just paying cards off at the end of each month, then it doesn't really actually help you establish the credit you're trying to get?
Well, it will still post that there's been activity. So there will still be posting that there's still payment history. It's just going to only reflect the 0 balance.
Because if they show that they're not making any money, you're really not a good client.
Yes and no. What they're going to do is entice you, and by that they're going to try to constantly keep increasing your credit limit, so therefore they entice you to get that big purchase.
They're going to send us more cards.
Exactly.
That's why that happens.
Yes, that's exactly
I
why.
was wondering how come that happens if it just creeps up every month.
So if you were the type, I'll get you right now. So if you're the type that carries a balance, they're then less likely. It's on average 70% less likely that they give you random credit increases out of nowhere. Versus if you keep under 10% and less, and even if you run it up to 60% in 1 week and then you pay it off, they're not getting interest on you. So what are they going to do? They're going to naturally start to increase your balance, even your available credit, hoping that you buy that brand new flat screen or you go and you finance that brand new trip to Cabo, just so you can't pay the full thing amount so they can collect interest that way. Now, does everyone know your national average of your average APR on a credit card?
20%.
26.
Your average, close. Your average one is 24.99%. Woo! Now, that's pretty high compared to some people who are just looking to do a HELOC on a house. I'll take an 8% interest rate on a HELOC than I would a 25% on the credit card. So, yes, you had a question?
Well, I want to comment on this because it's new to me. My husband died 2 years ago.
Okay, my condolences.
Excellent credit score. He always said that.
Uh-huh.
He dies, even though I'm on the card, he was the primary carrier. So then they gave me an option to keep the same card. So I do it. But then my credit score falls like 30 points because I'm applying for too many credit cards. And it's like American Express, and all they're doing is taking him off and making me primary, and I take it down. I just think there has to be a law against that.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, what was your name?
It's Pam.
Pam? So Pam brought up a great point that, let's say, for instance, you're an authorized user on someone's credit card, a spouse or someone, and in the event that unfortunately someone passes away who's the primary, some creditors can and will ask you if you want to continue and assume the primary role for that card. Now, when that happens, all the great positive history of the past account can reflect over, but also all the balances can majorly impact what's known as your CCU, which stands for your collective credit utilization. So CCU is essentially, let's say I have 5 cards, one card has maxed out at 100% financed, everything's fully maxed out, but the other cards are at a 0%. Even though that one card is fully maxed out and all the other 4 at 0, it'll still show up as your CCU as 20% utilization. Does that make sense? So sometimes adding all those other accounts onto your credit will negatively impact if they're carrying a balance. Now, if they're carrying maybe a late payment or anything else.
They were at 0. What happened was they closed the account.
Okay.
And they sent me an account, a new number. I was primary. So when I challenged them, they said, well, you have so many applications here. Well, that's because they closed them in his name.
Gotcha.
I put them in my name.
Gotcha. So what Pam said, for those who are a little bit further back,
It had nothing to do with paying a bill or.
Gotcha. So what Pam has basically just stated as well is that, they closed out the old account and they just basically reopened up a whole new account, correct? So what that ends up doing actually is harming your credit by affecting your average age of history on your credit score. Your average age of history matters 35% of calculating your FICO. It matters more than your payment history, and it matters more than your utilization. 35%, and that's exactly what I always say. When someone asks me, hey, Jose, should I close out this account? I can't give them a simple cut yes or no answer until you look at the bigger picture. And the reason why that goes into play is, let's say Pam's husband's account was 12, 13 years old, constant, great history, 0 balance. They just close that out and open a brand new account. So now it looks like they closed a 12-year-old account. Now they just open up an account that has 0 history of payments.
That's right, and I said at my age, if I had bad credit.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be smarter than I am.
Yeah. Credit is one of the most delicate items to work on. It's like the trust of a spouse. It is very easy to break down, and it's very hard to build it right back up. Because just like that, overnight, you drop 30 points, correct?
And I'm still 11 points lower, and I don't dare open an account because I know that's just another.
Correct. So that's why when clients are constantly opening up accounts every 6 months to a year, your average age of history goes down, which that negatively impacts your FICO. And for those who are self-employed, who are trying to get the business credit and that are slowly financing all your business stuff on your personal credit, it's gonna really pull you back and hold you back harder. Which is why I always recommend sitting down with one, first and foremost, a good financial advisor. You know, we have quite a few here I can see, and I know one of them standing right over here as well. Can definitely help you guys out. But your biggest thing I always want to recommend to people is, before you do anything, always consult. First and foremost, you guys can call, text me if you guys have any questions. And just because you have a questions now or later doesn't mean you have bad credit. Just because you have a question, okay? So don't hesitate to ask. But going into depth on that as well, your average age of history is a very big factor when it comes to calculating your FICO score. Now, one of the biggest questions I always get asked as well is, hey, how many credit cards should I carry? And by that, I always recommend however many you can manage successfully. You don't want someone who's going to open up 12 accounts if they can't manage them. Because if you manage an open account with zero balance, it doesn't help you at all. It lowers your average age of history, and it's not reporting a payment history to begin with. So you want to make sure you have, I always recommend minimum 3 to 4 if you can, but try to make sure that you're utilizing them for your best abilities. And yes, sir.
So if I have a credit card that I haven't used for a while,
Yes.
it's hurting me more than.
It's not gonna report anything. So it's not gonna hurt you, but it's not benefiting you at all. Especially if you're not doing anything with it. It's collecting cobwebs in the wallet. Time to brush it off and stretch it out. Credit is like a muscle, and if you don't stretch it, you're gonna actually lose it, because several months without actually utilizing a card, they'll close out your account.
Yeah.
And what that does is that will actually negatively impact you, because if you're the type that carries balances on your other cards you are using, your CCU is actually going to go up.
Wait, so is it better to close them if you don't use them?
If you don't use them, try to find a way to utilize something for them, like putting a simple bill. I personally put, like I said, Spotify's on one, Pandora's on the other, Disney Plus. I put them on that, and I just pay them so they have some type of payment history. If they're older and you want to keep your old accounts. If they're newer accounts and you have other accounts that you are using that's older, you can go ahead and cancel it, especially if you're not the type that carries a balance. It shouldn't impact you. It should actually help you by increasing your average age of
It's
history.
better, like what I told you I did today.
Correct.
Pay and then shred.
Yes,
Get
correct.
rid of your new ones and keep your old ones and keep feeding those old ones.
Yes, exactly. If anyone have any other questions regarding credit? Just like I said, just because you have a question doesn't mean you have bad credit. It's perfectly fine. Yes, sir.
I got good credit. Share with them what is good, bad, and indifferent. Their credit scores, etc.
Share the difference between good, bad, and indifferent. So a good credit score would be someone, in my opinion, what comes down to what your goals are. Most people who come to me for credit repair are typically looking to buy houses or finance a home. And those are, people who are looking like DPA, down payment assistance program, FHA, or even VA, the veterans. And your typical credit score minimum that they require is around 660. So that would be okay credit. The higher your credit score, obviously the lower your interest rate. And I don't know about you, but I hate paying extra money in interest. So I always recommend try to keep your FICO as high as possible, especially when your goal is to get into a home. Your bad credit score, what I like to call challenged, because I don't think anyone has bad credit. I think they just have challenge credit that needs work. Your bad credit would be someone who comes to you, hey, they're looking to buy a home, or someone, hey, I'm looking to get into a new job as a banker, but they're going to pull my credit. I have 10 collections that I need to get removed. Now, does anyone know the difference between a collection and a charge-off? The easiest way, yes.
A collection is when you didn't pay your bill and you still own the money. A charge-off is when it's been a long time and they just decide they're done with you.
Correct. So the most simplistic way I like to put it, as well as a charge-off, is, let's say I open an account with Macy's or Nordstrom and I don't pay them and they still hold on to the account. They're going to write it off on a charge-off at the end of the year on their P&Ls. So they're going to write it off as a profit and loss. They're just going to mark it there and they'll still hold on to it. Once they sell it to a third-party vendor, once they sell it to a collection agency who's going to cold call you, that's when it's now a collection. And by the way, when you owe $1,000 and they go off to collections, that collection agency bought your debt for probably about $5 to $10. They bought your name, number, address, and how much you owe. And that's it. And they're going to cold call you until you give in. Now, does anyone know the statute of limitations in California where they can legally sue you if you have a collection or charge-off? 4 years. 4 years after the last date of activity, not when they first reach out to you, because they can reach out to you months later. The last date of posted activity, they can take you to court in small claims, or even, obviously, if it's over a certain amount, they can take you to court to try to get their money from you. After that, we can, yes. No, after that, it's actually a lot easier after the statute of limitations for us as a credit repair company to actually get it deleted without having to settle. So if you have accounts that are over 4 years old and it's still impacting you to this day when you're trying to buy a home, we're here to help you guys out. Yes.
What if somebody has like a small balance on a credit card and they die?
So
Can the credit card company come after that balance?
So, I'm sorry, what was your name? Felicia had a question that what if someone had a small balance on a credit card and unfortunately life happens and someone passes on? Can a credit card company still pursue after that money? And the answer is yes. Yes, if they, especially if they have someone listed as a authorized user and that person's used the card. Yes, especially if they have someone as a co-borrower or anything else that's also entitled to that debt. They can definitely come after someone.
What if they don't?
And yes, if there's probate.
Yes, if there's probate. If they don't have any of those, it's going to be kind of hard for them to sue just any random person. That'd be like if, unfortunately, God willing, 50 years down the line you pass away and then we have no connection together and they say, hey, Jose, we want you to pay on behalf of Felicia.
Would it be worth it for them to sue for $500 or $600?
No, $500 or $600, it wouldn't be worth it for them to sue. So fun fact as well, if it's typically under $250 for a collection account or charge off, they won't even forward you to collections. They will keep it as a charge off and keep trying to recuperate that cost from you directly before selling it to someone. Yes.
So if I understand you correctly, when the, let's say Macy's is not selling the debt,
Correct.
then it's a charge-off?
It's considered a charge-off, correct. As long as they're still holding it and if on the credit bureaus that's reporting is still saying Macy's. Now the second it goes from Macy's to ABC Collections, 123 financial recovery or anything, that's when it's considered a collection.
And then how does it affect one or the other affect the credit score?
So both still negatively impacts your FICO by showing the fact that you had a debt that you agreed to that you didn't fulfill. Now, in a sense of a charge-off, it's going to be a little bit harder to get it deleted completely because they still hold the original account. They still have what's called your wet signature on them. The collection agencies, on the other hand, they don't have your wet signatures with ABC Collections or 123 Financing or anything else. So that's where it's a lot easier to get deleted off completely versus a charge-off. A charge-off is a lot easier to settle.
So what if you're kind of like in a, not quite legal, but in a dispute with the original, I guess, creditor?
Okay.
And then in the meantime, they sell it to a collection agency.
So if the question is what if you're in a dispute with the original creditor, let's say it's Capital One, and they sell it off to a collection agency, let's say like Portfolio Recovery or anything else as well. Your best bet first and foremost is while you're still in dispute, first and foremost, never miss a payment. Try your best not to. I have a lot of customers who contact me who tell me that they purposely miss payments because they don't like the customer service. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at how often that happens. Try to settle it out. If it sells off to a collection agent as well, once you get the dispute resolved with the original creditor and everything's settled up there, we can easily get the collection that's been reported as well taken off as well.
Because, yeah, that would avoid the collection in the first place.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yes, sir.
Good credit.
Yes. Good credit that I've been experiencing where you have a lot more doors open for you because everyone knows cash is king, but in all reality, credit is where the power is at. An 800 FICO matters more than 100,000 in the bank. So what I consider good credit right now is anyone with a 750 and above. And the reason why is even when pricing a finance home, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the two biggest corporations that buys loans on the secondary market. They say 680 and above, you're not getting hit. But as of May 1st, they're actually changing that even at a 680 and above, you're still going to get hit for your mortgages as well. So it might not happen to someone who already has a mortgage, but someone who's applying for a new mortgage, your credit is definitely going to matter more. So I'd say anything in the 7s and above, you got good bragging rights, especially if your spouse doesn't have one. Not in the 7s, you're in the 7, you're a little bit more well off. But in different FICOs, it all varies. I've seen people who have late payments who are still in the high 6s, and some of them even at a 710, but they have a late payment or a charge-off on their account still reported, which is absurd if you ask me. Yes.
Last one.
This is really not really relative to all of it, but it is to me. Why is a lease payment on a car reported as debt?
Why is a lease payment on a car reported as a debt? Because you signed over a contract with a lender for something in exchange for collateral. So in exchange for that collateral, they're going to be reporting it as a debt, and if you miss that, it's going to impact you that way.
No, but it also impacts your credit because it's the reason.
Well, it will increase your overall CCU, but it goes in depth in regards to when you get a car, you're gonna have that debt no matter what, whether you're financing a car or leasing a car. So the lease is just basically a short-term finance that you can have the option of buy out the car at the end or not. But that goes more in depth into auto sales. Some people structure it different ways, but if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna leave my card and I'll still be here as well. Give me a call, shoot me a text. We take care of everything. Our services are a little bit different from other credit repair companies where we don't charge a monthly subscription. One of the biggest credit repair companies in the world, Lexington Law, does what I call the Planet Fitness model, where they'll keep you on for 10 months at a time, charging $495, $695 a month. We charge a flat fee depending on how many derogatory remarks needs to be worked on. And our services, as always, are 100% money back guarantee. So if we can't render services, we care about our clients. So I'm definitely proud to say that I'm with a company that cares more about the clients than what's called commission bread. Thank you guys for even allowing me to be here and be a guest speaker. I appreciate you all.
Way to go, Jose. Hit it out of the park today, huh?
Yeah.